Okay guys, today I'm going to talk about the types of paralysis and I will try to add some clinical details as well. Well, paralysis is the loss of voluntary muscle function in part of all or all of the body, and is usually resulted from damage to the nervous system, either the central nervous system, which includes brain and spinal cord, or the peripheral nervous system. Let's start with the quadriplegia. Quadriplegia is this one. Quadriplegia or quadriplegia. I'm not sure how do you pronounce, or tetraplegia. So is usually when involve the four limbs, and which means both arms and both legs. I just made a quick sketch here, guys, so quite simple, to be honest, but I hope you can get the main idea. So as I mentioned, the four limbs, okay? Just conclude this part. And the area that will be affected during the quadriplegia is the cervical spinal cord, and usually above the level of T1. Brain injuries as well, or let's say disease that might affect the area. We have traumatic trauma in the spinal cord caused by car accidents as well, or even falls. Sometimes martial arts. We had a case a few months ago of a guy doing jiu-jitsu, and then he unfortunately had a cervical injury during the training, which is really sad. But jiu-jitsu is quite safe. It was just a situation that happened in specific with this guy. So basically, these areas here, the four limbs. Okay. And we can also include tumors as well, or infections, and congenital conditions, cerebral palsy or spina bifida as well, and stroke or brain trauma affecting motor cortex. And usually what will happen is loss of motor and sensory function below the level of the injury, possibly involving the respiratory muscles that are controlled by the nerves from C3 to C5, and the diaphragm paralysis as well, and bladder or bowel dysfunction will happen, and autonomic dysreflexia in high spinal cord injuries. Now the second one is the paraplegia or paraplegia. Here usually affecting just the lower limbs. What I'm gonna do, just to be quick, I'm gonna make this Yeah. So paraplegia, and which is the paralysis of both lower limbs, and the area affected will be lumbar or sacrospinal cord, caused by traumas such as gunshot or fractures, spinal stenosis, herniated disc, and infections, multiple sclerosis in some case, and congenital defects. And the patient might will present loss of movement and sensation in legs, bowel and bladder dysfunction, sexual dysfunction, and spasticity or flaccidity depending on the stage and cause. Now, the next one is the monoplegia, which we have two situations. One affecting just the upper limb, and the other one affecting just the lower limb. Let me just write here. Monoplegia. And what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna use another color just to keep the illustration clear for you and distinguish the different parts. By the end, if you want to take a screenshot, feel free to take it and maybe do your own version of this exercise and improve it. Yeah. Put your own words on the paper. Yeah, very bad sketching, to be honest. Okay, so this part here we have the lower limb affected, and as I mentioned, I'm gonna use another color. I'm gonna use the red one. Yeah, usually caused by stroke, brain tumors, peripheral nerve injury as well, and the patient will present isolated weakness in one limb. This one will be to represent the upper limb. Here. Looks like an alien, but yeah, I highly recommend you do your own version of this sketch, because you can do in the way that you understand. Sorry. Okay, so here we have the monoplegia, and then we have the hemiplegia here. This is a trick. It's not a good trick actually. When someone cannot draw the hands properly or need to draw fast, they just do a small ball like a hand, like the fist closed. So in this situation, hemiplegia or hemiplegia, please correct me if I'm pronouncing wrong, which one is the right one. Just part of the body, half of the body is paralyzed, and which includes arm and leg and the same side, sometimes face two, and most commonly due to stroke, ischemic or hemorrhagic, brain trauma, brain tumor, cerebral palsy as well. What the patient will present is weakness on one side of the body, facial drop, speech and swallowing difficulties if dominant hemisphere affected, visual field deficits, and also sensory loss on the same side. Okay, so let me just grab another color for this one. I'm gonna use the blue one. And then Yeah. We have triplegia as well, which is the paralysis of the three limbs, which is less common, to be honest. Usually the area affected will be spinal cord, partially, or it will be caused by a rare neurological syndrome. And for example, the area affected will be 2 legs and 1 arm. And then we also have diplegia, which is the paralysis of corresponding parts on both sides of the body. For example, both legs. For example, it's the most common type is the spastic diplegia, quite often associated with cerebral palsy. And the patient will present legs more affected than the arms, and the scissoring gait, and intellectual function may be, in this situation, may be preserved. But usually caused during perinatal hypoxia or prematurity. And yeah, this is pretty much what I have for you today, guys. We have other types of paralysis like a locked-in syndrome, facial paralysis, and but I'm gonna talk about this maybe in another video. What do you think? And well, this is pretty much what I have to talk today about types of paralysis. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed the content, and don't forget to follow me, subscribe, and share, make a comment, and I'll see you next time.